Welcome to the Critically Casual Podcast. My name is 7-Bit Brian, and I'm joined by the always decently okay person, Gunz Games. Gunz, how you doing this week?
Just decently okay, Brian.
Yeah. What do you want from me, Gunz? An
No, that's
actual
how I'm
compliment?
doing. I'm doing just decently okay.
Oh, I mean, it's I don't think anybody can be doing better than that at the moment.
Yeah,
considering the circumstances of the world.
Yeah,
So,
that's some
you
shit
know,
out there, guys.
yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We have a lot to talk about this week. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Shockingly, not as much as I think you would think, or what people think we would talk about, but we do have a lot to talk about regarding some things. Brian, I think you actually have a little bit of news you want to start with first, though, before we get into it.
Okay. Like, you mean me, or like?
Yes,
what?
I mean
I'm
you.
confused. What news did I want to start with?
What do you mean, what news did you want to start with? Motherfucker, you were jumping out of your goddamn seat last night about this.
Oh, I was like, what? Yeah, so
Bitch.
we missed. Well, it's exciting to me, and I know you want to talk about it, so you can just smash my dreams here.
Yes,
but we missed this. Well, I missed this. The EA earnings call that happened like at the beginning of this month. One of the things that was said during it is they gave an expected release time frame for Dragon Age 4. And at first, when I hear that, I'm just like, oh god, that's got me worried. But their expected release time frame for Dragon Age 4 is second quarter 2022 plus, meaning maybe not even then, maybe after. And I'm like, that I was like, oh, whoa. I view that as good news because that's you're giving them time to really put some effort and some love into this and make a good game. That's what I want to hear. I don't want you to rush it and have it come out this year or next year, any of that bullshit. Give it the time that the developers really need. So I'm viewing that as positive because Dragon Age is still one of my favorite ongoing franchises, and I just have to be hopeful about it. Gunz wants to stomp on my dreams about it and still thinks no matter what, it's going to suck.
I mean, I'm not stomping on your dreams about it. I just think that it ain't gonna happen, Chief. Listen, they were given 7 years with Anthem, and
but they scrapped the game how many times and didn't really make anything. They didn't have someone that was actually leading and directing the project.
How many times have they scrapped Dragon Age? We don't know.
Well, that's true, but this latest launch on the project has an actual director that is leading it. We know that. We have a person that is leading it.
It has Casey Hudson, who made Mass Effect 3.
Okay. Aside from the final part of the story, Mass Effect 3 was good. It was just the fact that in the final part they made your decisions not matter. But
yes, but he still did that.
Okay, he's also made some really good stuff. I'm not going to judge the man by just that. And I'm going to be hopeful, Gunz. I'm going to be hopeful. You're not going to kill my dreams.
Do people judge Game of Thrones? Do people judge Game of Thrones by seasons 1 through 6, or do they judge it by season 8? They judge it by season 8.
Yes and no. I think
Game of Thrones was awful. The ending was terrible. That's all I ever hear.
Yeah, I think if you, but I think if you talk to people, like if you have someone that's never watched it, putting aside the books because they're completely separate. If you have someone that's never watched it and they talk to someone who has, that person's going to give you two things. One, the ending's kind of crap, blah, blah, blah. Some people liked it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But this part is great. They are going to point out the great parts. There's two discussions to be had there, not just one.
Yep. Sure.
In my opinion. And yeah, I understand that there are reasons to not be hopeful, but I am hopeful. I think there's reasons to be hopeful. Dragon Age. Also, there's a lot of people that just disliked working on Dragon Age, or not Dragon Age, Anthem, and like we had insider information how like they hated their job when they were doing this, and they wanted to get back to IPs and stuff that they enjoyed working on, like Dragon Age. So when your employees actually, are invested in what you're making and want to be there and want to work on it, that makes a difference as well.
Hang on, chat. Gotta adjust something. Keep talking, bro.
Gunz disappeared. He was you were just a white screen with a black space. That was interesting.
Yeah. No, don't worry about it. I just had to adjust something.
I know that BioWare has had its issues, but I think I hope that how all of this has gone down has made them aware of those issues and been able to rein in and fix those issues. And for some of it, it seems like maybe they have people that are energized and ready to work again and are excited about what they're talking about. They have someone who's actually making decisions and guiding a project with a vision for the end, instead of just, I don't know, we're making a game that some random like exec was like, this looks cool. Like,
I think they're totally aware.
Difference.
I think they're totally aware of their issues. I just don't think they're going to solve them anytime soon. It's leadership issues, and I don't think Casey Hudson... Well, I think Casey Hudson did make a difference in terms of leadership when he was and wasn't there. I don't think he's going to solve BioWare's problems overnight. I mean, let's put this into perspective. How they finished games, they called it BioWare Magic, and it was essentially just their version of crunch. That was how they solved problems and got games done. There was no lack of skill. There was no skill or organization there. Not every studio has crunch, actually. Many studios
have their version of that kind.
Yeah, most. But a lot try to, nowadays especially, there are studios that are absolutely trying to avoid it.
That's definitely true, but still, I think I'm going to be hopeful about this. And I think them not trying to rush it, EA themselves, the publisher, saying, yeah, you have until, mid 2020 or after that before you even have a targeted release date. That's a positive thing, because they're not saying, hey, BioWare, something now. Go.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They published Anthem in 2019, yeah?
Yeah.
So 2022 is probably when they actually started working on Dragon Age. That's just 3 years.
3 years isn't bad.
The average game turns around in 3 years, 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, it's not like they're working on a new engine this time or doing anything like that.
They're not. They better be. Fuck. No, I don't want them using Frostbite. Fuck that.
EA's, as far as I know, EA's still in the everybody uses Frostbite thing.
Frostbite's a terrible engine for anything but Battlefield.
I kind of agree too, but they've also had time to improve upon it and make it better in
there's
the
no
years,
BioWare's not going to make that engine better. DICE is going to make that engine better. And DICE is going to improve that engine for FPSs because that's all they make.
I mean,
I'm not wrong.
No, I think there will be some improvements made by BioWare, because they had
it's not their engine. They don't know how.
They didn't know how to make it into an RPG game that produced Dragon Age Inquisition, but they did. They hacked it and made it into a workable thing.
They had people from DICE. No, they had people
from DICE help, but they did the work
help.
As well.
They had people from DICE come over. Hey, how do we use this engine, guys? There's articles about it where they're just like, we have no idea what the fuck we're doing with Frostbite.
Since then, they're just gonna stay. They're not gonna try and push forward and move. They're just gonna stay how it is. Come on, Gunz, be realistic. That's not
I am being realistic. I am being realistic.
How EA works.
So wait, let's think about this for a second. You're saying they have 3 years to make modifications and changes to an engine they didn't develop, know, or have any idea how it works
internally.
No,
I'm saying there's already been modifications and changes made to it. That's the same engine Anthem is running on. They made modifications and changes.
They just made Anthem off of Frostbite, dude. There's been a
They didn't make Anthem off the same. Okay, all right. That's not how engines work. Okay,
I know that's not how engines work.
The same thing that Dragon Age Inquisition is. They made improvements. They made changes to make it work like this. And then they're gonna do the same thing for Dragon Age 4. This is how development works.
When
a game releases under the Unreal 4 engine, it's not running based on Unreal 4. They made changes.
Are you gonna shut up?
No, I'm gonna say this because what you're saying makes no sense.
We all know how engines work. No, what I'm saying makes perfect sense, Brian. We know how engines work, Brian. We know they have to modify them. What I'm telling you is that all the news articles that came out from internal sources of people at BioWare said they didn't modify it. They didn't know how it worked. They asked
That's
people from
incorrect.
DICE to come in. It's not incorrect. I can pull up like 7 articles of internal leaks from BioWare employees about how it was just a complete disconjuncted mess.
The big Jason Schreier thing, part of the article was about them redoing that. And yes, calling in some help, but the amount of time and work they put into updating and changing that engine, and the fact that some of them wish they didn't have to use that engine, yes, but the amount of work that they put into it.
Made Anthem? That's a lot of work.
Anthem as a video game, but
Is
it
not
runs
much.
great on that engine. But that's systems and design. That's not the engine itself. It does run great on that engine.
That engine crashes all the time and has so many buggy issues. There were so many bugs on the engine from Anthem at release. Loading issues, crashes.
Okay, bugs are bugs. That happens in every game. That's them not QAing.
Not to the level of Anthem.
All right,
you know I'm right about that.
No, I don't know. I'm done with this conversation because you're being unrealistic with your discussion.
How am I being unrealistic? Anthem was a terrible game for a huge amount of reasons.
Engines work,
we all know
how development works.
I don't think you know how engines work.
Okay, never mind. No, yes, I'm done with this conversation. I don't know how engines work. I haven't played with them myself.
Playing with one and knowing how ones work are two completely different things, Brian.
Not one, but yes. Okay, cool. Moving on. This is not a conversation we're gonna be able to come to an agreement on, because the way you're discussing it does not make sense to me from a person who, yes, has amateur experience with it, but also has friends in the business and has explained to me how things work and has read the articles and stuff.
Okay.
All right. But Gunz. We've been playing something interesting this week. That I knew I was gonna play. I had no idea you were gonna play it and keep playing it and get pretty into it. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you have?
I don't actually want to talk about that yet.
Okay.
I want to talk about the other thing. Not the other thing. The other thing.
Okay.
That involves a Mark Cerny.
We have all the things. We have all. Oh yes. Cerny, the guy who spoke for an hour and never took a drink of water or said once. Like, this is the best public speaker in history, even though this was a public facing thing that probably shouldn't have been. It was a GDC talk, but they made it public facing into the consumers and probably shouldn't have.
Isn't that a little scary though, that he spoke for an hour?
I know, right?
Like,
no water, no no nothing. It was just like, I was entranced. I was like, are you human? Like, what is going on here? And
I fell asleep.
I mean, I some of it was very interesting. I'd say the first 20 minutes is him like explaining to us. And again, this is supposed to be a GDC thing, so it's more focused at the developers. But even then, it's like the first 20 minutes is explaining how SSDs work and why they're useful. Cool.
Yeah, that's the part that I fell asleep at, because I'm like,
I know that. All the devs know that. Why the hell are you explaining this?
Yeah, it's like solid state drives are useful because the flash memory What? We've known that for like 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think there was there's some interesting stuff to pull from this. I definitely want to talk about it. There's some positives and negatives. Perception-wise, there's some big negatives. But I think one of the biggest things is they made a big deal about, hey, like, come watch us live during this thing, and and pushed it out there to everybody on their Twitters and all that stuff, trying to get consumers to come in too. And they got a lot of viewers, but this was not a consumer-facing talk. So this was a GDC talk. They should have just published a video and said, "Hey, here it is."
Before we get into this,
it made it look kind of bad.
Before we get into this, just want everyone to know, I don't care which console's better, because I don't play consoles. I play on my PC. I like people that put their games on PC, which, yes, means currently I like Microsoft and Xbox a lot more than I like Sony, because they refuse to put jack fucking shit on the PC, because they're assholes. But I don't really give a shit which console's better. I'm just going to be stating what I know to be a fact. That's all. There will be some opinions in there as well, but so this is the spec sheet. The Xbox, can I like enhance?
All right, CSI.
The Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 are both running 8-core Zen processors. It's a Jaguar architecture. The Xbox is running at 3.8, 3.6 with SMT, and the PlayStation is running at 3.5 variable frequency, which means that it can go up and down, but realistically it's not going to go probably lower than 3.3 or higher than 3.6 or 3.7. So the advantage in this still goes to the Xbox, but just slightly, just the tiniest.
It's just slightly. I don't think
tiniest.
Yeah, the tiniest bit. I don't think we're actually going to see the effects of such a thing until maybe late generation in the console.
Even then,
maybe not. Yeah, I don't even know if like performance wise we're going to see much of that effect. Just the CPU core itself.
This one is actually quite a bigger margin than I thought it would be. The GPU itself has 12 teraflops, 52 CUDA cores running at 1.825 gigahertz with a custom RDNA, and the PlayStation 5 has 10.28 teraflops with 36 CUDA cores running at 2.23 gigahertz on a variable frequency. So again, variable frequency means that it can go up and down in terms of overclock, but it's probably not going to go higher than like a 2.3.
Yeah, so this one's interesting because they went in like different directions with their GPU. Xbox is giving more teraflops, more CUs, but the gigahertz that they're running at is pretty standard, right? PlayStation went with less flops, less CUs, but they're running it at a base gigahertz much higher, and it's variable and can go up. And they're basing that, basically overclocking it and running it like that is going to make up for the rest of it. The way he explained, I don't know if it's really going to.
No, so it's not much faster. It's not really that much faster at all. It's 0.4 gigahertz faster,
but it's also variable, so I think it can get up to like I think it may be 0.7 or 6 or 7 faster, which is actually not that small of a difference.
With GPUs, you can't really push them that hard because you will notice a lot of instability in them. And the other thing that you have to consider is that this is how many, teraflops means how many floating points it can calculate in a second. And CUDA cores are the units that process these things. 12 teraflops to 10.28 teraflops, that's a gap of like almost a whole 2 teraflops. That's 1/5 the power of the PlayStation 5 right there. The power of the PlayStation 5's graphical unit, the GPU. And the other thing you have to think of is that it has 52 lines running at this 1.8 gigahertz, where the PlayStation only has 36 lines. Even though they're running faster, there's still 16 less lines.
Yeah,
at a supermarket.
Talk, he tried to explain it, basically saying that running it at a higher frequency and varying that would make up for it. I was like, in some cases, yes. I don't think it's gonna fully make up the difference in the two, though. Though I don't think he's trying to make up the difference of what Xbox's is. I think he's just trying to reach a certain goal, and they reached that goal.
Well, I also think that they're obviously not going to come out and say, yes, the PlayStation 5 is weaker. No, they're going to try to talk like it's not as weak, it's not as bad, blah, blah, blah. Die size, 360, it doesn't really matter that much. Processing, I mean, it matters, but not for this. So I don't know why that Xbox listed theirs, PlayStation didn't list theirs, because I'm assuming they're the same, basically. Because they're both running off of the same CPUs and GPU units from AMD, just different,
there's partnership between all of them.
Memory, again, pretty much the same, although weirdly PlayStation listed that there's this 256-bit. I assume. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, we don't know what what's going in the Xbox. People are like, oh, if they didn't list it, does that mean specifically that it's not going to be 256-bit? It's a lower one, and
It
people are kind of, I don't know
can't
how to judge that.
not be 256-bit is the thing. Like, if you're running GDDR6, it's like,
Yeah,
you know.
it's actually that might be the.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
and I mean, 16 gigs is that's for a console. That's you're not gonna need any more than that. That's actually really good. That's like double what previous gen had. So okay, hold on, I got a link there. I
oh
want to look
yeah,
at that.
actually this is better. Look at that. So it's actually going to
Thank
be
you,
a
Faris.
320 megabit bus as opposed to 256-bit.
Oh, so
How
it is.
interesting.
Ooh,
It's
wow,
better by a lot.
wow.
Anyway,
Holy.
memory bandwidth. This is the bit that I actually think matters more than anything. And I don't really think people are actually talking about it that much. I don't know why.
Yeah,
But
this is a big deal.
so the memory bandwidth for the PlayStation 5 is 448 gigs per second. Okay? The memory bandwidth for the Xbox is 10 gigs running at 560 gigs per second, and then 6 gigs running at 336 gigs per second. So what does it mean? Why does Xbox have 2? And am I ever going to fix my green screen? Probably not. Why does Xbox have 2 of them? The easy answer is it's essentially like 2 highways. So on the Xbox, the GPU gets a dedicated lane of memory, and the CPU has a dedicated lane of memory. That's the easy way to explain it. The hard way to explain it, I could go on and nerd out about it and what it actually means, but we won't. I did do some reading, and
It simplifies
part of
it basically.
yeah, it simplifies it a lot. Part of what it means is that there's a total of 16 gigs of system memory, running at a combined speed of about 900 gigs per second. You can't really equate it like that, but just bear with me for a second. I read an article on was it this one? Somebody's article.
I was actually wondering if part of the reason they split it like that, aside from what we just explained, which is the way Xbox is tackling backwards compatibility and building it in, if that's going to come into the use.
So the reason why they're doing it like this is 10 gigs of that memory is they call it the graphical optimal memory. So 10 gigs are solely dedicated to the graphics card. That they will always be there. 3.5 of those gigs of the 6 gigs are solely dedicated to the CPU running games. And then the other 2.5 gigs of that 6 gigs is dedicated to the operating system of the Xbox Series X. That tells me a couple of things. One, you can never expect any kind of issues when it comes to actual memory bandwidth when it comes to your games, because it has a dedicated, it's there, right?
Yeah.
2, the operating system they're going to have on the Series X is going to be beefy, which is actually probably a nice thing. I think people underestimate how good a beefy operating system, assuming it's, developed well, how good an operating system can be. And
this also
it matters.
Yeah, it does matter, and the operating system and the split of this and dedicating this plays into their quick resume, which we've seen videos of them. What the hell? I'm drawing a blank on the word now. What's the word?
I don't know.
Showcasing, I don't know. I was thinking a word. We've seen a video of them showing it off, showcasing it, how it works, which is really, really good. And a lot of that stuff, for that to work, you have to have that data parked in memory, ready to be.
They have quick resume now.
So, the quick resume for the Series X is insane. Have you watched the videos?
I think probably I have, but I mean, it's not. It's fast, but it's not like.
It's fast, but it's also like 6 games. He basically pauses, launches a new game, pauses, launch. You know what I mean, and cycles through them. and
It
there's
just,
no reloading, no just boom back in. It's
yeah.
insane that they were able to pull that off. It's basically like you're running, different programs on a PC and you just click to it and boom, boom, boom. And yeah,
Uh,
that comes into the operating system and how they built it.
the IO
And
pass through. I don't think this is something we will notice again, but it's 5.5 gigs raw for the PlayStation, 8 to 9 gigs compressed, and 2.4 raw, 4.8 compressed. Not something I think, again, we're going to notice. Here's the big one, though. So the PlayStation 4 is going to have an NVMe SSD slot. Now, we don't know if that's internal. That you're going to have to take apart your PlayStation in order to put in another SSD, and if it has to be formatted in a certain way. If that's the case, most users won't do that. That NVMe SSD slot could mean that there's a slot that you push another SSD into on the console, which means you'll probably have to buy it from PlayStation to fit their
no. They said they're not doing proprietary like Xbox is. They said that the list won't be ready at launch, but they're testing like benchmarking and testing fit and everything like that of the just the open market ones, and they're going to release a list of these are the ones that are compatible with the PlayStation 5.
Is it going to be an internal thing though, or is it going to work like just on a slot?
That wasn't detailed.
Because if
but
it's
they
internal, like 90% of users won't do that.
Yeah, they won't do it. And also, like, probably something like 70 to 80% of the SSDs aren't going to fit into the console because they're built for like PCs and things like that, and they have their own fans and things.
The other
So
thing
they're
is
you're gonna
that
have to go to a list and buy a specific one. Where with Xbox, they have a proprietary thing that you just buy the Xbox one. You're good.
the other thing is that people will just assume that Xbox would be better because it has expansion cards and PlayStation doesn't. So people say, "Oh yeah, you can get up to 2 terabytes on the Xbox, and you only have 1 terabyte on the
Yeah. So
and technically you don't even have 1 terabyte. You have 825 gigs."
yeah, they went with the 825, which is weird. I don't know why they didn't just. He was like price ranging, blah blah blah, but that's not a big difference. That's not going to make a huge thing on the price.
Yeah.
But the big thing here, from consumer point of view, the PlayStation version of it has the chance, if you know what you're doing and you do the research and you do all this and everything and you know how to do it, as a chance that maybe you get your expanded memory at a little bit cheaper than the Xbox. But from just average consumer point of view, the Xbox is so easy, it's so plug and play, and you don't have to do any research or understand this. You just, oh, I buy that, it works.
Yeah.
So from
You're
the
gonna buy
average
like it's gonna be like
Xbox just looks better in this area.
it's gonna be like a $50 or $60 SSD expandable, and you're just gonna buy it and push it in.
Yeah,
And that's
just
it.
plug it in. It's basically they brought back memory cards. You just plug them in, boom, done.
Yeah, except they're SSDs now.
Yeah,
Crazy.
It's kind of crazy, just like the visuals of this. How it looks.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why would PlayStation go that direction? Like, you'd think they would be one of the ones that are right on top, like wanting to push out that proprietary one with the PlayStation logo thing. But nope. And I'm like,
it's I just zoomed out of this comparison, and I really enjoy that it's like PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch, Animal Crossing.
Nintendo Switch just shows Animal Crossing. I just noticed that. That's hilarious.
I was like, is that an ad, or
I thought it was an ad that my face was hovering over.
Yeah.
That's great.
The both are gonna support external hard disk drives. So I wonder if they're gonna allow you to load games on that, and then the system will load it into an SSD to run it, or run it into its actual memory to run it, most likely. I don't imagine they're going to allow games to be run off of hard disk drives, because it will be, the way they're talking about it, especially with their optimization that they have, it does sound like it will be a pretty impactful performance degradation. But overall, and of course they're both using 4K Blu-ray drives, both are coming out this holiday 2020. But overall, all these tiny little advantages to Xbox are going to add up a lot. So you're looking at 3.8 versus 3.5. You're looking at 10.2 teraflops versus 12.15. Actually, that's yeah. You're looking at 16 gigs at 256 versus 16 at a 320 megabit bus. You're looking at a much better memory bandwidth across the board of dedicated memory for Xbox, which I think will actually be the biggest difference that people will not appreciate or notice. I think it'll be the biggest difference that will be between the consoles that people could tell, but you won't know why. And then, you know, the expansion. Honestly, it's pretty heavily, when you add all these things up, the difference in power and capability is pretty heavily sided with Xbox, actually.
Yeah, I'd say,
and
I don't know if I'd use the word heavily, because I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference in the games we play until like later in the console generation. Some of it will,
right?
Maybe, but I think what I'm wondering is if PlayStation purposefully waited, as they've been playing with different, probably different SKUs and different things, and they're releasing this because they're going to be able to price this cheaper than the Xbox, I think, because everything in it is cheaper.
They're going to try to price it cheaper than you would think Microsoft would price the Xbox Series X. But here's my betting money. Xbox is going to come out and price the Series X at $500, which is going to be a probably $150-ish loss to them.
Yeah, that's a big loss. Usually they only do like a small loss. That's a big loss for them.
And I don't think Sony will be willing to go lower than $500.
Yeah,
$499.
From someone who does play consoles, and looking at this just from what I know so far, because this isn't even talking about backwards compatibility, which we're going to go into a second, but everything I know so far, which can change, we have plenty of time to change, stuff can change, but everything I know at this moment in time, everything I know at this moment in time, as someone who does play consoles and has both a PS4 and an Xbox One right there, you know, I have my stuff, and I'm probably going to get the new ones. When I save up money and I get a new console, which may not be at release, I may wait a little bit because of the way they're doing releases right now. I don't need to. We'll see. But from what I know right now, my first purchase is gonna be an Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
And after that, I may just finally pick up a Switch because there's games on it that I want to play now, and then get the PlayStation even later. I don't know. Like,
I don't actually.
There's also like no exclusives I know that are coming for the PlayStation that make me want to buy it.
They haven't announced anything just yet in terms of exclusives. Yeah. I imagine we were going to see that at E3 this year.
Yeah, like I said, things could change. But at the moment, everything I know.
Well, nothing. The hardware can't change. They're probably already in
but
production.
Circumstances can change. And some of this can. Like he said during the talk, he said we naturally came to the conclusion that the 825 gig internal storage is where we're gonna, you know, that just made sense. And he said whether that ends up being what we ship with, we'll see. So keep in mind that there can be slight tweaks to some of this, like the internal storage stuff like that. Most of it's not going to change, but there can be slight. You know, people are reporting that like that 825 is like this is set in stone. That's not how he said it. I watched it. I remember that much.
But it's
likely
not.
It probably will be though.
Yeah, it's not. They are maybe a couple weeks out at the bare minimum, or actually at the maximum, from all of this being. And actually, that was recorded. So that was recorded probably when they found out GDC was supposed to be canceled, which was probably...
Oh, yeah. Can we talk about that for a second? There was an audience. There was like cardboard cutout audience or animated audience. But it was recorded. It wasn't actually in front of an audience. It wasn't, you know what I mean? So like watching it, someone pointed out, they were like, oh, it reminds me of like the theater thing, the people watching, you know. I was like, oh, that's funny. And in the moment I didn't think about it, but it wasn't until after I realized, wait, there wasn't an actual audience there. There's no press, why did they do that? That's kind of creepy.
But
like,
this was probably recorded 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but why did they animate in an audience like the black backs of heads monster theater audience? Like I don't.
Thought it was a cutout at first, but it is the people move. They could have had just PlayStation employees sitting there.
Yeah, no. From what I've heard, apparently it was. Well, maybe I don't know. The rumor is that they animated that in, like they had a person put that in there.
I mean, people could
Just
be
to make it
making up
seem like it was-
assumptions because
Yeah, I
they
don't
don't
know, but
actually know.
it's still just weird. Like even if it's like, even if it is the PlayStation employees, why are they there? Why bring them in and have an audience for that thing? Just put out the video.
You know, it's always like as much as I shame Nintendo sometimes, which we'll get to that part of the show in a minute. As much as I shame Nintendo sometimes, their Nintendo Treehouse Directs are like, that's how you do an online presentation, people. That's just how you do it. That's just how you fucking do it.
I'm sorry, I don't see the way their directs have been going for them and stuff. I don't see Nintendo having like big shows and stuff like at E3 and stuff ever again. Like they don't need it. It's useless to them. They don't need it. They might show up as long as E3 lasts, which I don't think it's that much longer on the books. Personally,
I would disagree.
Last too many more years.
I would disagree because, like, you know, beforehand it was it could have been shareholders, actually. Yeah, you're right about that. I would disagree that like big press conferences are useless because nothing gets you more excited or hyped about a product, like especially as a gamer, like being hyped about a product if you're a big console guy. When they're standing on stage and they have this like box that and here it is and the crowd goes wild, right? But like that's fucking cool.
That's big. But E3 is no longer the biggest conference. That's now Gamescom. And Gamescom is handled better, like way better. They don't leak everybody's information and dox them. You know?
Damn.
And you also don't need E3 to do that. You can just say, hey, we're having our own, like most of E3 itself, like a lot of these, the big Nintendo and Sony conference and stuff like that aren't official parts of E3. They're just thrown during E3 and they're their own thing. You can still do that. But you don't need E3.
But here's what I'll
you can do that when you want to.
Here's what I'll say about E3, and I've always had this theory. The cross-contamination of news that gamers find out about at E3 is a lot bigger than I think people realize. Because if you just
E3 is huge for like developers, like social networking.
Well, no. I'm going somewhere different with this. If you just care about Xbox and you're checking out E3 news, there will be information about the Xbox and the PlayStation. And I guarantee you that if people that have seen the stuff about Xbox and saw the stuff about PlayStation and gone, I'm gonna go with PlayStation this time. Or vice versa. So I guarantee you that the cross-contamination of news is a lot bigger thing than people actually realize, because when you go for a source of news about E3, you see everything about E3, including new games, new this, new that, all kinds of stuff. So I think it is a bigger deal than people would actually make it out to be, personally.
I can see that, but I also see the troubles they've had and the things they've done and the people pulling out. It's going to be a hard comeback for them. It's going to be a hard comeback for E3. Like, I'm sorry. There were already people before all this stuff happened where, conventions were being canceled. There were already people pulling out and not wanting to be involved before any of this went down, just because of, what it was going to be this year and how, how the
I think you're specifically referring to Jeff Keighley.
Not just him, but also developers and publishers.
Which developers? Because I actually hadn't heard of any developers that were pulling out specifically.
Kojima and his people all said they weren't going before the Corona thing. And I think there was another one I had heard about.
Well, I mean, what do they have to talk about? They just published Death Stranding last year. What's the point in them going? They don't have anything to talk about. PlayStation's also not going.
I think they do, actually, if the rumors about PlayStation and Kojima are right. But we'll see.
I mean, he's not going to develop something in a year.
No, but...
So what's he got to show?
Have you heard the rumors of that?
That he's working on something for them?
Not just that, but like what PlayStation is doing. They're being kind of bullish in this. from what I've heard, they're trying to strike either a deal with Konami to give them rights and let Kojima just have his way with these certain
Silent
three
Hill.
products.
Yeah.
No, three products, not just Silent Hills. Or if Kojima doesn't want to make the deal, just buy them out and buy those three IPs and let Kojima go to town with them. And Silent Hill is one of them.
I don't think Kojima wants to work on Metal Gear anymore. I think he's done with Metal Gear.
I don't know, but the rumors are they're trying to either buy it out or negotiate a deal. And Norman Reedus did say that he's in talks with Kojima to sign on for another product again.
Right,
So
right.
I mean, yeah,
all of that was because I did read something about that specifically with Silent Hill recently, but they're still not going to have anything to show.
I mean, who knows? Kojima and then people throw something together real quick. I mean, when did we first see the Death Stranding stuff? How many years ago? And it was super early, but it looked freaking. We didn't even understand what it was, but it looked cool. I don't know. I don't know if they would or not. I'm just saying it was. E3's had some troubles, and it was before just this Corona thing that's going on. E3 had troubles before that, and it's gonna be a rough comeback for them. I'm not saying they're dying, but I can see a future where they're less and less important.
And it's not that I necessarily think that they're less and less important, because I think E3 still is important. I think they're doing dumb shit and people are liking the convention less. I still think E3 is very important in the sense that you need a place to globally gather, like all the news source and everything like that, in one spot once a year, and just like have an ongoing conversation about what everybody's doing. Because at that point, the spotlight is on everybody. If you're like, hey, I want to look up that Xbox E3 news, and you type in Xbox E3 news, you get like 5 billion fucking results about all the games that are going to be on Xbox, first party, third party, and then like, oh, here's also all of the stuff for Uplay or for Sony that Xbox doesn't have, like, and there's 1,000,000,001 comparisons and 1,000,000,001 podcasts about all that information, so it's just such a huge condensing of news. I think it is pretty important, honestly.
I can definitely see that. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was weird, and the biggest disappointment for me out of this, and I'm curious how the mass consumer market feels about this, because I may be in the minority with this.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that I am, and I think Nintendo proves this.
Okay.
But the biggest disappointment for me is that they went over backwards compatibility, and it just showed PS4 and PS4 Pro. It did not show anything else, and the way he talked about it made it seem like nothing else would be in there. He even gave reasons why it would be hard to do, but Xbox did it anyways.
Yeah, Xbox did it anyways. This is the thing. Xbox did it anyways. So Mark Cerny, we're not buying your bullshit.
People were talking to me about how like most consumers aren't going to care because they don't go back and play these old games and blah blah blah. And I'm wondering if that's true or if it's just it's just like, because like I remember Nintendo putting out all these old games and they made fuck tons of money off of just digital releasing these games and allowing them to be played.
Xbox has also released some statistics about the number of people that play their backwards compatible games, and it's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and Xbox going all the way back to everything. Yeah. They can think about this for Game Pass and then just for digital releases. They can put every game that's released since the original Xbox all the way until now.
Yep.
Either on Game Pass or just for digital download, put it up on the store. Yep. That's money. That's like, and that's a huge advantage that Xbox has there.
Yep.
Again, I don't know if I'm in the minority. I don't feel like I am, and maybe it's just I'm in my echo chamber of that.
No.
And maybe I am wrong. You're saying no. I believe you. But it seems like that is a huge mistake on PlayStation's end, in my opinion. Like, you can give all the reasons in the world why it's hard and not cost effective and blah, blah, blah. I get it. It doesn't matter because your competition did it anyways.
Yep.
And I'm just like, wow. That was my biggest takeaway from that. And they on the graphic that they showed it with, there was room to add like PS3, PS2, and they didn't. I was like, you motherfuckers! Like what?
We could do this, but we're not.
Oh.
And actually, I would argue that in terms of lineage of games that people are interested in playing, I would say PlayStation has a bigger legacy than Xbox.
Yeah, they do. They have
And
much
I
further
would
reach.
say,
And what's crazy? Hold on, one thing. One point I want to make. What's crazy to me is we heard of PlayStation, of Sony, like patenting and trademarking like technology that was having to do with full backwards compatibility and things like that. We didn't hear about any of that from Xbox, but Sony's the one not doing full backwards compatibility, and Xbox is. So what the hell did they develop that technology for?
So I will also say that Sony was recently granted a patent for a TV that requires you to stand up and yell the name of the product that's being advertised to you before the advertisement will go away.
Oh God.
That product will never see the light of day because no consumer in their right mind would buy that TV.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I have a question for you though, Gunz. The most important thing to come out of this entire video and Cerny's presentation, aside from him possibly being a robot, is did you or did you not take a picture of your ear and tweet it to him?
I didn't, because I don't like trends.
The fact that he said that as an option, as a possible, I'm like, you can tell he's a very technology focused guy and he doesn't understand consumer, because like as soon as he took that to like the consumer facing people of the company, they'd be like, what the fuck, ain't no way anybody ever gonna do that. No, that's not an option, Cerny. There's not an option.
Here's the thing, I bet you at his Twitter right now there are thousands of ears.
Oh yeah, because people are just, but like as that's just the trend and the joke and the meme right now. But as far as like if they actually released a product and PlayStation was like, cool, you bought your PlayStation, now take a picture of your head and your ear and send it to us so we can get your settings set up right on your PlayStation. No one's actually going to do that.
So
they're going to be like, why the fuck would I buy this? Why the fuck would I put up with buy this console if that's the case? No one's ever really going to do that.
Yeah, no, I just don't. I think the backwards compatibility is actually a huge thing. So they're only going to have 100 of the most popular titles for PlayStation 4 and
not
PlayStation
even all
Pro.
of them. Not even all of them at launch.
It's only 100 of the most popular titles. PlayStation has 4,000 plus titles.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to me. And Frey in chat saying it's possible they intend not to support physical media backwards compatibility, but will support digital backwards compatibility with a store like Switch does. I get that, but at the same time, I don't think so, because the way he explained their solution to backwards compatibility is basically building the differences in the CPU cores into your new core, and he said it wasn't cost effective, so they're not doing that.
Xbox just said fuck it and emulated it. That's what Xbox did.
No, actually, from what I heard, Xbox, it's a type of emulation software, but it's also built into their CPU to be able to run it. So it's not just basic emulation. It's like they put a lot into it, where it's actually going to run the old games better,
but
not just emulate them.
Building emulation software into a CPU is much easier than building backwards compatibility into a CPU.
Yeah, and that's true. But it sounds like that Cerny didn't want to do that.
Yeah, Breakcore's right on that as well. Yeah, PlayStation has done backwards compatibility with emulation now, and they don't want to do that. Why? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
but they're not.
It either, but
it does seem like a big drawback.
Yeah, and that would limit their ability to release digital copies, because you still need to emulate it, or you need to basically do a lot of work on that game to make it run on the current generation.
And they said
so that would be just like more development.
They've said they will add more over time. How long is that going to take? 2-3 years?
Even the more over time is limited to PS4 and PS4 Pro, not old stuff. No PS3, no PS2.
So
no
I
PS1.
do think that's a big disadvantage, honestly.
That's For me, that's one of the biggest because I still go back and play old games all the time. There's old games I never got around to playing that I play now that are freaking amazing. I'm going through the Witcher series. Like what like yeah, I mean that's PC,
Thankfully,
but that's separate.
PCs don't need backwards compatibility.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, no. Um, there's some old
Well,
games that you got to run
okay.
in certain system modes and
Yeah.
stuff, but you can still do it because there's people working on that stuff. But yeah, uh,
Anyway, um
yeah,
so
that's
let's talk about actually no, I've seen you playing EVE Online
Oh,
recently.
yeah. I was wondering what you were talking. You were yesterday. You were talking about you were going to ask me about another game I've been playing. Yeah, Eve.
Why?
I used to be really, really, really big into Eve Online. Like
Yeah.
I wrote articles for different places online. I even wrote some articles for Game Breaker back when they were a thing. I'm the one that broke the whole singing for ransom thing. If you remember that, how they held a guy ransom in Eve and made him sing to him over voice chat and all this stuff. Like it was and I just left Eve and never came back. But recently, a friend of mine was talking to me about it because he still plays and how Eve is kind of like on a resurgence. Their player numbers are up. The devs are putting out weekly videos on dev updates and things. They're putting out new events all the time. They're releasing these up. Like Eve's like on a bit of a resurgence right now. It's still Eve, so it only gets so big. But I decided to jump back in and play around with it and see what kind of fun I could have with it. And uh, so far, it's still Eve. There's been a lot of improvements made that I really, really like. But I'm having a little bit of fun so far. So we'll see how long that lasts me because I'm not sure such a game is really for me anymore. Because back then I put a lot of time into it, and you get the most out of Eve the more time you put into it. That is very, very true. But I'm gonna play with it here and there and see what I can get out of it. The little bit I've dived in, I have had some fun.
I
And
could
apparently
not
they are if you're into the game, they're on a resurgence. Player numbers are up, they're releasing stuff, the communication between players and the developers are at like an all-time high, like one of the best I've ever seen from a developer. Like it's insane. Like it's so if you are into that type of game, now's a time to get in.
I tried Eve for like a week and I couldn't get into it because it was just unfathomably boring.
I mean it's also a make what you want and do what you want game. There's some boring parts, and there's if you don't know how to go out and have the fun, and you don't have connections in the game, it takes a while. Yeah. Luckily,
Yeah,
I still have some
couldn't do
old
it.
connections, and I know how to go stir up my own trouble.
Couldn't do it. But yeah, let's talk about State of Decay 2, the Jug Edition.
Yes, yes. Let's talk about this because I mentioned them releasing this update, which is basically it's a free update. So if you have the Xbox Game Pass or you already own it, you get this, or you can just purchase the game now.
Yep.
And it comes with its own stuff, but it also
Yep.
comes with every DLC that ever came out before it. And I was gonna try it out and see what I thought.
Yep.
And apparently you did as well, and we're both having that means it has its flaws. I want to say that.
Yep.
But it's also I'm feeling the charm of the first one again, and I want to keep playing. And I'm still playing. Like I've played it like 4 or 5 times this week, and I'm still playing it.
There's still
There's
some
still more I
things
want to
that I
get done.
miss from the first one that are not here. I do feel like State of Decay 2 overall is a regression in a lot of places from the first game. I don't think first off, the co-op is cool, but God, it needs some work. So as you were watching last night, Azzy disconnected multiple times in a row. And I think somebody brought up that it was Microsoft servers, and it's not Microsoft servers. As much as people complain about Microsoft Azure servers, they work. They do work.
Yeah, I
And
actually looked at this up because I was curious, and I don't know like because it's on Game Pass and all this, and they work so closely with Microsoft. People just assume it's on the Microsoft servers, and maybe it's just bad code or something. So I tried to do some research. Nowhere have they said what actual like servers this is on.
yep.
Like I can't find out what if it is on Microsoft servers and it's just bad code, or if it's on their own servers and that's the issue. I can't find it anywhere. Like
I would chalk it up to it probably is on Microsoft servers because they are owned by Microsoft. Well, they weren't then, but they are now. I would say it is on Microsoft servers because Microsoft's like, hey, we can put it on our servers. The other thing I'll say is that this is their only multiplayer game they've ever done. Originally, they wanted State of Decay to be more MMO-like. Never got to that
Yeah.
point. They just couldn't do it in terms of development. So yeah, I would say that most likely it's probably on Microsoft servers, and they just aren't the best at developing co-op multiplayer experiences, because uh the thing with it is that it's very inconsistent. Sometimes it'll work for hours, and then sometimes it will, like, it disconnected him 3 times in like 2 minutes. And then he was fine for like another 3 hours.
Yeah, it's kind of weird and inconsistent. When it works, it's good. It works. It still has its limitations, like the the tether thing, which they really need to work on that, because it would be better if you guys could just
A
you know
game having tethering in 2000, when did this come out? 2018? Yeah. A game having tethering in 2018 is still like, what? Like,
yeah.
we have that, this was the spawn of MMOs and battle royales and all this stuff, and you're telling me I'm tethered? What?
It's kind of weird. I definitely admit you've been playing, which again is not to say it's not without it's positives. When it works, it works. It has to have its limitations, but when it works, it works. It's fun. You've been playing the multiplayer. I've been playing single player, getting more experience into that. But putting aside the coding issues where you get the disconnects and stuff like that, the base mechanics of the game and how much they fixed a lot of the gameplay loop and some of the more egregious bugs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. This is a much better game than State of Decay 2 was when I last checked it out and when you last checked
The
it out.
graphical
Like
update they
much.
did to the game is also very noticeable. I remember the first time playing this, I thought this game looked like shit. And it doesn't now. It's not the best looking game out there, but it's palatable by a big margin in comparison to what it was.
I will say I like how do I explain this? I like not 100%, but I like the lighting in this game. Because if you do it right, the night is actually, like, if you don't turn your brightness way up, the night is actually real dark and can get dangerous.
Yeah.
And can like, stuff blends in and you can't see anything at all, and it's like it adds to the feel of the game, and I really like that they were able to do that. And
Yep.
that definitely improved with the update of the graphics when they did this, and
Yep.
I mean, it's you get that feel. Like I said, I'm starting to feel that State of Decay 1 charm again. That wasn't a perfect game. It was buggy. It had issues, but it had a charm about it where you just wanted to keep playing it, and you were having fun despite this stuff. I'm starting to feel that in State of Decay 2 now, and I wasn't feeling that when I played it previously. Some people were. Some people have been with this game all along, but this version is worth checking out in my opinion. I'm still having fun with it.
Yeah,
I still
definitely having
I
fun
still
with
haven't
it.
done like half the stuff. Like, I haven't left to another map. I haven't
The
played with
so
different types of
I do
leaders.
have a couple of problems still with the game. One is that resources don't respawn on the map. Why? I know that they're trying to incentivize you to move to other maps. But we're kind of getting to this point that we haven't done everything we would like to do on this map, and we're starting to run out of resources pretty rapidly.
Yeah, it's like a resource management thing. You have to try to get everything you want to get done while with the limited amount of resources that you had. And if you waste too much or do so many wrong things, it can put you in a bad position, which is annoying, but at the same time can add another layer of gameplay. So I don't know how
Yeah,
personally feel
I
about
still
that.
feel they could create resource scarcity and still have respawning resources. There is
I mean,
management,
you do
there
get
is
like
choices to be
you
made.
get the automatic resources by outposts and
Yeah,
stuff. So,
yeah.
but maybe they need to change that a little, tweak that some more. I don't know.
There are definitely some bugs. For instance, we've figured out that if you're in that like crippled state or you have blood plague where your character is running kind of funny, they will just continue to run, to sprint even when they're out of stamina completely, and you can still level up your cardio like that. Azid had
Oh
a
wow,
very
I haven't ran into that one.
Azid had a it's almost consistent. Like I can do it almost every time. Azid had a really interesting bug where he was throwing Molotovs and they were just exploding in his face. And he tried like 3 different times and they just blew up in his face. And so like his character caught on fire multiple times and had like only second degree burns, but still had second degree burns. It was kind of funny. Because he's just running around screaming about it. And I'm like, I can't really do anything to help you here, Azid. I'm sorry. There's definitely some buggy issues with some textures as well with some of the cars, just, nonsensical stuff. But a lot of the upgrades
Yeah,
system and a lot of that, it's
I've
fun.
seen that in your. I've seen that in. It's not a ton. It doesn't really take much away from the experience. But I've seen the car issues, like the texture bugging, in your playthroughs. But I haven't seen it in mine. So I'm wondering if that's a net thing, like with the multiplayer, or if
I'm
I just
host,
have
so
been
I don't
lucky
know.
and haven't or if I'm just lucky and haven't run across it. I don't know. But yeah, one of the bugs I ran into, which is more of a physics thing, and you get this in a lot of engines because we can't emulate real world physics, is I decided I was going to use cars to block off areas of the map
Oh, yeah.
and build roadblocks and stuff. And I was like, wait, they keep attacking the back of my base at this gate. What if I just park a car in front of the gate, right? And then they can't get to it. And it worked for a while until one of my followers decided to randomly leave through that gate instead of the other ones. And the game let him. A few had walked up before and just walked away like they couldn't. So I was like, all right, cool, I got it set. This is working. I found a trick, But then one walked up and opened the gate, and because the physics engine didn't know how to react, and the gate like just flies open when you open it, it made the car go flying across the street, slammed into a building, and just explode. Like it's kind of like when you are running and jumping in Destiny, and you hit a corner and it bounces you way back.
Oh, yeah, right? Like that.
These weird physics. Yeah, it's
angled
weird
ledge
physics.
bouncing.
Yeah, I fucking hate that. It's these weird physics interactions. I ran across one of those in the moment. I just I couldn't help but just laugh. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened.
It was actually something kind of similar, physics wonky happened. I was driving a van and Azid was standing on top of it because it only had 2 seats and we had to transport this NPC to this location. So Azid was crouched on top of the van and I was going downhill, just driving down the hill, and Azid suddenly just flies off the front of the car like at Mach 7, just into the hillside, and it nearly killed him. I don't know how it didn't kill him, but he ragdolled and just all the way down the hill, and I'm like, I was laughing my ass off. Yeah. And I was like, how are you not dead? And he's like, I am almost.
Yeah, some of these things are funny and charming, and they're not. I would say that I haven't run across any kind of game-breaking stuff or enough to where it takes away from the good experience that I'm having. I'm not saying other people haven't, but so far, yes, it's not perfect. It has bugs, but it's still fun.
I would like them to do a State of Decay 3. I'd like them to do much larger co-op. I would like them to not have tethering. The other thing I hate about the co-op is that, yes, you do get rewards back in your world for playing co-op. So if you come play co-op with somebody and then you go back to your world, you get rewards from that world. And influence and all that stuff. But the other thing I'll say is that I wish that it was more actual co-op where Azid was helping me build and manage my community, and he could go anywhere he wanted to on the map, and we could play separately together, like it was its own world that we were in together, as opposed to it being my world that only I can do certain things in.
Yeah, that's a limitation. I would like to see in State of Decay 3 them to do, instead of multiple maps, make it like have a mode that's like all three maps. It's one huge map, and have it be where like so many people can connect to this map.
Right. That'd be cool.
But also you don't have to be co-op. Have it be like, yeah, you and Azid can be this community, but I can have my own community over here, and we can be against one another, and we still have our NPCs and our other things. But I think that would be really fascinating and add a whole nother layer to this.
The other thing I would really like to see is an actual improvement on base management and customized base construction. Like, I'd like to be able to improve the walls of my base and the doors so that stuff couldn't actually get inside and have more than just one sniper tower. And I'd like to be able to, like, for instance, I built the forge recently, and I was really kind of disappointed with what all you could do with the forge. Like, custom weapons, not a lot of custom weapons that you can make. Which I thought was ultimately disappointing.
Yeah, it's you can build the different facilities and things like that, but just and different bases have different layouts and different types of slots that you can build here and there. But yeah, adding another layer of customization where I can edit the base facility itself. Not just I'm plugging this space into this slot, or I'm building beds here. But actually the facility itself maybe have an expansion, build new walls, and upgrades. Yeah, that would just the base facility itself having ways to customize that as well, not just what you plug into it. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Be really cool. And there was also like there were like traps and stuff like that in SOD1, and a lot of that stuff isn't here now. And there's a lot of stuff I just feel like
we talked about that a little bit last night. Like, I will say I understand why they wanted to take it out, but I think they shouldn't have taken it out. Traps in SOD1, once you got them and got a base, a basic income source from resources, you could just always have traps up, and it basically made everything around your base was always fine. You never had to worry about anything because it took care of zombies and hordes, and it trivialized that part of the game.
I mean,
and it was really cheap to get to that point and do that. So I understand them wanting to take that out, but I also think maybe that should still be a thing you can put in, but it just maybe not so cheap, so it's not trivial to do it,
They could have modified how it was implemented into the game instead of just removing it entirely. That's why I do feel in some ways, because State of Decay 2 really isn't an evolution of the game. It's just kind of the same game as State of Decay 1, but now with co-op and new maps.
I'd say, yeah, in some areas it's a bit of an evolution. The new maps and the new.
I feel like State of Decay 2 could have been a DLC.
Maybe, yeah.
But and that is disappointing to me.
If you have Game Pass, you can just get this thing, and
if you have Game Pass on PC or Xbox, which on PC it's $5 a month, it's kind of worth it. You can just have State of Decay 2, Juggernaut Edition for free. I mean it's $5 a month, but for free. And
but
it's
you're
nice.
All the other games, you're not just paying that for just
but yeah, it's been there's also fucking, oh my god, what's the name of that stupid Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal, which both came out recently.
Yep.
Doom Eternal, I don't think we can really say anything about it. It's Doom. It's good. It's heavy metal music while bashing zombies and demons' skulls in.
Yeah, apparently they did more to add like more of a unique level design and story and puzzles to it this time to make it a little bit more than just that, but only slightly. It's still Doom, It's
there's
Doom.
definitely,
but that does add to it. It gives you another layer.
There's definitely more of a platforming feel in certain sections and whatnot, and look and like secrets and whatnot. There's definitely more complexity there for sure, but it's still Doom. It's still just
it's good. If you like it, buy it. You're gonna you're gonna enjoy it. But it's Doom. It's good Doom, but it's Doom.
It's Doom. It's good Doom.
And Animal Crossing, I see everybody in the world playing, and I have never played an Animal Crossing in my life.
So I don't get I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know why people like it so much. I'm just like, just play Stardew Valley, or like, I just don't get it. Like, you're collecting
it's
bugs.
Another one of those. Well, yeah, it's a very like open-ended. There isn't actually like it's someone described it as like a life simulator. You just go in there and do what you want and chill, and you can make your own goals to work towards.
Yeah, I actually saw a tweet. I saw a tweet that said all the millennials. I saw a tweet that said all these millennials are playing this game where you start off on an island by yourself with a bunch of debt, and I'm like, I thought that was just reality. What?
uh, yeah. I mean, people seem to enjoy it and like it, so I'm not gonna rain on their parade.
I
But
am. Fuck
I've
'em.
never once played an Animal Crossing in my life. It's one of those things like Pokemon and those other games that I've just never gotten around to
I love
playing,
Pokemon.
and I'm just like, eh. But apparently, for the people that are into this, it is a great Animal Crossing game, and they're all like in love with it. So
I do have some chief complaints to hail towards the Nintendo.
okay,
So apparently if you are playing on a Switch with somebody else, you cannot progress farther than the main save file has.
oh yeah, I've heard some weird stuff. Like apparently, you can have different accounts on your Switch, but it doesn't matter because the island, like your home base, your island, is
Yep.
tied to the console, to the Switch.
Yeah, it's
So,
tied
like,
to the
was
hardware
talking
ID.
about this. Yeah, Co was talking about this. So he can't have one for stream and one for him and his kid. He basically needs an entirely new console to play for just him and his kid. And he was upset, and I was like, "Yeah, that's stupid. Why would you? What?"
So some people try to defend. Some people in my Discord try to defend this, saying, "Well, Animal Crossing's always been about being a community on one island," and I'm like, you can still be a community on a single island and somebody can progress farther than you by playing more or progress separately by playing more. There's no reason
Or
why.
maybe I want a new save file with a new island and a whole
like
new,
if
you know what I
Bob
mean? I
and
progress them both.
Jim have a house on the island and Bob doesn't play and Jim plays for like 3 days and Jim's house is big and amazing and has all this stuff on it, Bob can see all the stuff that Jim's done, and all the stuff that Jim's done can slightly affect Bob and change how things work on the island for Bob. But that's not how it works. Bob plays 3 hours and progresses 3 hours. Jim can only play 3 hours and progress 3 hours, and that's it. And that's fucking dumb.
Yeah, that's I
I know
don't
it's a
agree with that. Yeah,
specific use case. It's a specific use case of people sharing a Switch, which may not be that uncommon, or it may be super uncommon. Who knows? But it's still
no,
it's
not a
2020. It's
specific.
dumb.
It's not a specific use case because even the same person, like there are plenty of players out there that have different files and different versions, like State of Decay. There's different leaders that you can select, and there's different like starting.
That's
people
true,
that you can
actually.
select.
Yeah.
I started with the best friends. I'm always getting my friend out of trouble. Then I started a second community, a second game file with this other person. Right. Well, on Animal Crossing, I can't do that. I'm on the same fucking island. I'm doing the same thing. You know what I mean? I
That
can't do
does
that.
severely
I
hurt the
need a whole new
replay
Switch.
value.
And I'm just
Because,
like, why would you do that?
Yeah, that is very stupid.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. Again, I've never played these games, so but that right there, just from a consumer standpoint, looking at from the outside in, it's
very
zero
anti-consumer.
sense.
It's very
Yes.
anti-consumer. Because it's not like they don't have the capability to do otherwise. It's 2020 for fuck's sake.
Oh yeah, very simple, very very simple.
I would say it's very simple, but it's very doable. Yeah. Brian, what else have you been playing?
What else have I been playing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're gonna laugh at me, Gunz, because I take on too much. No, you're not gonna laugh at me. I bought and downloaded The Division. I'm still playing through. I'm being kind of slow with it because I'm not like rushing or anything. I've played it like a few times now. I'm playing other stuff at the same time, so I'm still working through the story and leveling up right now. I haven't gotten to end game with you, but you did convince me. I'm having fun with it. There's not a lot more to say about it other than you convinced me, and I'm playing it. I'm not having much different experience than you at the moment, so I can't add more to.
Well, I don't know if you've gotten into the. I don't think you get into the season pass stuff till you actually complete the Warlords of New York
No, I haven't gotten to that yet. No.
The season pass stuff is really fun at the moment. This week they had the League, which is speed running a specific mission as fast as you can, and the faster you do it on heroic difficulty, the more rewards you actually get. So that's pretty cool. Next week, this Tuesday, starts the global event, And the global event is the Polarity event, which also has additional rewards tied to it. And then here in a couple of weeks, we're probably going to get the new raid as well. So they actually have a ton of events that they're just pumping out content with on this, and there's a ton of reasons to play right now. There's a ton of stuff to do. There's a ton of reasons to get into it, and not only that, but to further your builds. And we've been playing with, again, this subreddit is in such a weird state. Everybody's like complaining about stuff, but myself and Azid, people are complaining that tech builds are so crappy. And I'm just kind of like, what? Myself and Azid were playing around with some tech builds and some combinations. And one of the things that he's using is called the Artificer Stinger Hive. And when he's combining it with his sniper turret, he's doing like 9 million damage a headshot. Which is a lot.
Yeah, I don't.
And
he's saying skill builds like I'm still leveling. I get it, but my drone is like badass. I'm sorry, but all right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. People complain about dumb stuff.
You won't feel the difference of like higher skill tiers and the skill damage percentages that you're missing until you start getting to challenging and heroic content, and then you will feel that difference. But yeah, it's...
I mean, maybe, I don't know. I think I still feel some of it right now because I've been focusing on picking up and equipping the armor pieces that, I mean, it's still leveling, so, I got to use what I can find. But I've been picking the ones that do skill stuff, and I've got, like, a really high skill boost at the moment, and when I put my drone out, I can have my drone, like, base enemies and stuff like that. I can put my drone out and just stay ducked, and he'll take out the whole fucking room.
Yeah.
Like, because he does so much damage, and I'm still leveling, so I'm like... And when I unequip that gear, my drone won't do that, and it'll go down pretty quick. So I can see how it can be effective even while I'm leveling. Again, I haven't gotten to end game like you're saying, but I can already see how effective it can be. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Really effective. I don't understand where the complaints are coming from because I'm having a blast with it. Azid and I were sitting there giggling like children when he put this Artificer Hive down, and I put down roller mines, and it like gets hit by it and it rolls over and everything dies. We're just like we're just like, this is gonna be so cool.
But
we're gonna blow shit up.
What I was gonna say before I brought up the division, because that's just kind of
us.
I'm ready for you to be proud of me and then facepalm at the same time. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Well, maybe proud of me. I put myself on a schedule, and I'll be streaming 4 to 5 days a week on the regular, and I have been streaming. So yeah. All right. So it's mostly morning time stuff, but yeah. But then here's where you're gonna facepalm is like 2 days a week I have set games that I'm playing, or series that I'm playing. The rest of it's gonna be just randomly whatever I end up playing. One of them is I'm still doing my Witcher playthrough. I'm about to start The Witcher 2. It's going to be basically 1 day a week. I automatically play The Witcher 2. I'm streaming it no matter what, right? The other one, I'm the idiot who decided I'm doing a series playthrough of The Witcher. Let's add a second series playthrough of another video game series. Let's do that. That makes all the sense in the world. But I don't know. I really want to do it, and I'm doing it. And I've already started it. I'm doing an Assassin's Creed series playthrough, and I've already started playing the Assassin's Creed one. I streamed it. Yeah, I decided I'm doing 2 series playthroughs. Don't judge me, Gunz. 1 day a week it'll be Witcher, 1 day a week it'll be Assassin's Creed, and then like 2 or 3 other days it's whatever I feel like playing. But yeah, I'm doing that now. I can't see your face, Gunz. I can't tell how you're reacting. Stream's behind, and you don't have your camera up for me.
I'll say this, and it'll hit you eventually. Don't overload yourself with things, because next week there'll be a game that comes out and you'll be like, I gotta play that now. Right? And then you'll That's why I mean, like,
I'm so stupid to do this, but I was just like, oh, I really feel like playing it right now, and I just jumped in.
I've already got problems.
I'm gonna have to, like I said, I'm gonna have to stop myself and make it where like 1 day a week I play this, 1 day a week I play this. I'm not playing them except those days, and then the rest of the week is open for.
I've already got problems where I'm trying to balance Division and Siege and State of Decay and GTA RP and they're not
So,
balancing.
yeah, I know that. But, putting aside my idiocy and my problems, I actually
Yeah.
want to talk with you about GTA RP because I caught a few of your streams and you've had some time to really get into the new server and play with it.
Well,
So
it's not a new
I was
server.
hoping, yeah, no, the new, the new stuff they're doing with the server.
I've been around on this server for quite some time, and I had left for a period of time, and I finally came back to it, because it kind of went through a lull, and it's really starting to like get its groove back with their new kind of applicant process that they're doing, and it's been really nice.
Yeah,
But
based
yeah,
on all the new stuff they're doing, I wanted to talk to you about your experience so far. I've only caught a few of the streams so far myself, but it looks like you're having fun and that you're back into it and it's, what they're doing is working. But I wanted to, I was hoping you wanted to talk about that today.
yeah, it's really weird because like I have to take breaks from doing, like, I played Gunny like 3-4 days in a row, and I have to take breaks from him because I find myself just like talking like he does all the time. And like I'll just walk around the house and answer questions, and I'll be like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Yeah, yeah. Just funny anecdote. I have running a Dragon of Icefire Peak, and I've decided that a guy that's in it called Don John Raskin. I've decided the way he looks, the artwork they give for him, and everything. I've decided he's a very like country, like the way he talks, and it's like, yeah, how you doing there, darling? I've got this whole thing for him, right? And one of the last Wednesday when we were playing, like the entire session he was there and I was doing that voice for like half the session. And the players were really into it because I got really, really into it. It takes me a second to get into character and really do
Right,
his
yeah.
voice. But then afterwards, I went over to my mom's house, right? I just went to visit her and she said something and I responded in his voice and she was like, "What?" And looked at me and it took me a second to register that I had done that. And I was like, "Oh God." I had just been talking like him for so long that day that I
Yeah, you
just
just like I find myself just like casually slipping into his voice, and I'm like, it's weird, man, when you play it so long, and like you sit there and I think about how like Gunny would respond to stuff, and I end up responding to stuff like that, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Um, and
That's good RP though.
yeah, like he's a ton of fun, but it's really kind of like, because he is the character I have a bit more stupid fun with. And I've been trying to think of ways to develop him a little bit more, because him just being like a hillbilly from Sandy doesn't have a lot of depth to it, and I do want some more depth to him as a character. So I've been thinking of some things. I don't want to talk about them because I think they're really interesting, and I'd rather it kind of take people by surprise. But there's some really interesting stuff that I think will come around. And not only that, but like I've been like working on like, because when you develop a character like in the GTRP, they should have goals associated with that. So like I've been developing what kind of goals would Gunny have, and it's becoming really hard because I have a conflict of interest of what I want to do and what I think Gunny would want to do, and they're always not the same thing. And then I start thinking to myself, man, do I have like multiple personality disorder or something? This is fucked up. It's because it really messes with you, because you're like, well, Gunny wouldn't want to do that. Why am I talking about something I play in third person? Fuck. So it messes with you sometimes when you're really trying to give volume to a character about the thing, volume and depth to a character about the things they would do. It's just like, and you start like almost living in somebody else's head for a little bit. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. The last one I caught was the Gunny babysitting stream, as I'll name it, where you almost got jumped by a gang of girls and
yeah.
I was like, what the hell is going on here? But I was so entertained. I was in it. I was like, oh my God.
I was, for a moment there, I was convinced I'm going to be beaten and stabbed by 5 girls in a Hummer limousine painted pink.
Pink Hummer limousine, and the girls are all like dressed all like, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The way they jumped out and like slid across the car and like ran up, I was like, oh shit.
I was pretty confident I was gonna get stabbed to death there for a few moments. Then I got kidnapped by a bunch of Russians. And I decided to like just like, I could have like done something about it, but I was just kind of like, let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens. I'm interested.
Go with
Let's
it.
see what happens. And it was an experience, to say the least. The babysitting stream. Wow.
That's what I called it. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I kind of like subconsciously feel bad about, because like that girl that plays the woman character that we've been talking about, she's been in my, I don't want to mention her name or anything like that, but she's been in my chat, and she's talked to me outside of game a little bit here and there and stuff, and she's really nice, but like when I was talking to Mason, I'm just like harping on our character, and I feel kind of bad for it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, that is how Gunny would feel about this. He's being kind of a dick right now behind her back. I don't know how else to categorize this.
Yeah, there's this thing in D&D that I feel like comes into play here, where you have to separate player and character.
Yes.
And some people can do that very well, and some people can't. Like, maybe Gunny thinks she's naive and stupid and doesn't like her, but Gunz doesn't think that of the person playing her.
Yeah, I actually think she's doing a great job in her RP of like portraying this really fucked up person. Because we were even trying to like talk to police officers and whatnot, and like, hey, can we get her some therapy? Like, Gunny's not the person that would be like, can we find a therapist for this lady? God damn. But we are. We're like, we need a therapist for this woman now. Yeah, it's really entertaining, and I'm having a ton of fun with it, and hopefully it continues. Today is not going to be, I'm going to play GTRP today a lot, but it's not going to be typical RP. Today is The Purge. So it's a once a year event that happens that's based on the movie The Purge. The movie The Purge took historical events and kind of threw them way into fiction. And so they're basing GTA RP, the family RP, The Purge Day, on that. And so you're still required to like roleplay. And which is what I'm more excited about, because people are essentially going to be allowed to do kind of whatever they want to do, in a sense. They don't have to like obey their characters, because like Gunny has a certain morality that he follows. He doesn't shoot at cops, he doesn't really try to murder or hurt people, but he's going to today.
This is like a one-shot type thing that's like
kind of, because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist beforehand, and it doesn't exist after canonically in the world of RP. Whereas they had the Purge on public not so long ago, and that did exist canonically, because the public server just shut down afterwards, and they moved to their applicant process, which again I think is a lot better. It's been great. But really enjoy it. Really enjoy it. Today's gonna be they spawn in like so they turn traffic down, because they assume that people would not be in the city or out and about when the purge is going on. So NPC cars are gonna have like a chance to spawn equipment in them. They're also gonna spawn like arena war vehicles and like helicopters and jetpacks and all kinds of stuff. And my plan right now is to see if I can hit up an admin and be like, hey, can y'all spawn me like a police car somewhere? Just one. I'm gonna dress up Gunny like an officer and obey the law! I am the authority! He's just gonna drive around pulling people over all day and probably get shot a lot.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I think it's really cool that they're doing these like events that aren't part of the main story, the main thing, but they have these little like things to just, break up the norm and just be like, hey, we're gonna do this thing, go in, do it, have fun. There's these rules and limits to it, but they're much more expansive than what's normally there. So it gives you that, you were talking about how in the past it got kind of dry because everybody had worked through all their RP, all their storylines, and it got kind of repetitive. If they can continue coming up with these new events and these new things like this to break it up every once in a while, that'll help, you not hit that point for a much longer time.
I also wouldn't mind thinking about it with the Purge, because I've thought about this for a while, specifically with the character's arc. I think it would be cool if this stuff did happen canonically for a short period of time. Like, if there was somebody that could disrupt the police force inside of Los Santos to such a degree that there wasn't a police force for like a day. You know, that he did something like so severe that it caused that. I think that would be really cool. And so I wouldn't mind, not necessarily the purge, but just like events like this being tied to player-driven stories as major
like
events.
A police strike or something.
Yeah, major events or major developments of a character's story. Or like the server story in the general, because the server kind of has a general arc of the storyline. Like currently, the Lost and the Dead, the DD, are kind of going at it with everybody, but the Lost is also pissed off the Russians, and I think Grove Street's even mad at him. Maybe the Vagos, I don't know, but everybody just hates the Lost right now. And then the Russians have absolutely pissed everybody off. Everybody wants the Russians dead, because they just walk around kidnapping people and robbing everything and selling, like they're just doing all kinds of stuff. And so like the arc of that story as it goes is super interesting for like the server as a whole. And so I wouldn't mind seeing events like this or something similar to it, even if it was completely different style, take place canonically in a story fashion, so that it actually affects the world and characters and stuff like that. And it would be really cool.
I mean, it would take a lot of work.
And yeah, absolutely.
That I'd be, you know, like donating some money to the people running it to help them, you know, get stuff like this. But there's absolutely a way you can come up with these events that are part of everything canonically, but at the same time have every once in a while these events that are just, you know, just give you a break and change things up a little bit. But you know, every once in a while it's normal play, big event, this one's canonical, normal play, big event, this one's not canonical, normal play, you know, and just every once in a while you have stuff. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And I think there's definitely space for that and the ability to do that with the way it works right now, but it's also a lot of work, and the people putting into it definitely. Yeah, I can see
the admins on the server work pretty hard in terms of stuff, and just seeing more development as it goes and how things change over time. What's hilarious is that I was talking about this last night, thinking about like GTA 6 whenever it comes out, which eventually it will. You know, whether it's 2-3 years from now. I am more excited about 6M than I am about GTA 6 as a whole, which I find hilarious. I'm more excited for a mod of a game than I am the actual game, because it ends up becoming its own beast. And with the amount of detail that they ended up putting into Red Dead 2, you know, I played through Red Dead, I played the multiplayer, it's a lot of fun, and if Red M ever gets itself going again, I'll totally be on board for that. I think it'll be a ton of fun. I like 6M would be insane, because the amount of detail and gravitas that they put in and work that they put in things, like it's just exponential how much bigger and better looking these worlds get. And the changes that they make to them, like I think one of the things that people have really like clung to was people really enjoy racing in GTA, even though it's very arcadey. Not simi at all.
Very much really. Arcade racing.
Yeah, but I think people want a slightly more realistic system. Not realistic, just slightly more in certain things. Like you can't really drift in GTA. You do. It's called lift-off oversteer. So there's two types of like drifting. There's lift-off oversteer, which is where you use the power and the momentum of the car to swing the back end around, and you control the slide by like, and it's usually done with front-wheel drive cars. Control the slide, and you use the front wheels to pull the car forward to keep it in line. And then there's power-driven oversteer, where you're actually using the rear wheels to drive the car forward and control its momentum and where it's going. You can't really do rear-wheel drive-based oversteer, because I don't know if the cars just don't generate enough grip or traction whenever they're sliding, but you can do lift-off oversteer, and that's kind of it.
So... Are you ready for me to lose some gamer cred for a second?
Go on.
Going back to what you were saying about GTA 6 and GTA 6M.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% get that you're more excited for GTA 6M than GTA 6, because after like San Andreas and Liberty City, I got
Mhm.
bored of GTAs and I stopped playing them. I have not played any since like Liberty City up to this. But all of this RP stuff that you guys have got going on and all this is the closest thing that's gotten me to buying a GTA game again and getting into it. Just because I got bored of the, like I get there's new stories, there's new advancements, there's new blah blah blah, and everybody loves them. But I just kind of got like I was done with them. I was like, no, I'm, you know, and I haven't played any of them. So I get that that's probably lose some gamer cred there, but nothing excited me and made me really want to buy them. I was like, yeah, that's great, but it's not enough for me,
I will say
but
GTA
the mod
4
stuff
story
might be.
was weaker. I will say the
Yeah, I didn't play
GTA
4,
4
I didn't
stuff
play
is
5.
definitely weaker. But GTA 5's storyline, I think, was tremendous. And I think you should probably play through GTA 5's storyline because it was incredibly entertaining. But, yeah.
Maybe I will one day. I don't know. But yeah, it's just nothing's really pulled me in or like I gotta play that, And the RP has kind of gotten me to that point before where I'm just like, oh, that I would have a lot of fun doing, but then I just, I don't know. Like I said, I'm lose some gamer cred there. That's okay.
I think that's about it for this week, though, in terms of, like, everything that we have to talk about. I mean, there was a lot, but there wasn't a lot at the same time. We were kind of focused on, like, just PlayStation and then, like, 2 games for a while, but...
Yeah, but I mean, there was a lot to talk about for, like, State of Decay because it makes sense because it's a huge update and it changed a lot.
It is, yeah.
And then there's, like, the big releases, Animal Crossing and Doom. Great, big releases. Really,
So we
really
haven't
big.
even talked
But
about Ori.
Yeah, oh yeah. I haven't had a chance to play it at all. But like those are the big releases, but they're also like there isn't a lot to say about them. It's Animal Crossing, it's Doom. Like there's not a lot to
They're
talk
not
about
new
when
and
it comes to
inventive,
that.
titles. It's Animal Crossing.
They might be good, and there's a few things to talk about like we did with Animal Cross, but there's really not a lot, It's just
But I
play
think
it,
that's
yes, have fun, but it's not a discussion to be had.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this week. Anything else before we go?
No. I'm excited for Final Fantasy VII. I want to play that.
Oh yeah, and Resident Evil 3 remake.
And I will be streaming. Yes, I will end with that. Resident Evil 3 remake has their demo out right now.
Yep.
And I was fighting myself over, do I play it or do I wait? Because apparently this one's more of a reimagining than 2 was. A little bit more. Like they added more to it,
waiting.
so I'm waiting. Yeah, I decided
I'm saving
I was
myself
fighting
for
with
marriage.
myself. Yeah, I was fighting with myself the entire time. I'm waiting. I'm not gonna play the demo. So yeah, you won't hear us talk about the demo. Sorry.
No, we're violently anticipating Nemesis
Yes.
giving it to you through a wall.
Oh yeah. Right. So
there's gonna be a lot of screaming. A lot of screaming.
Yeah. But I think we'll call it there this week.
Yeah, Brian, get us out of here.
My name is 7-Bit Brian. That is Gunz Games. We are Critically Casual podcast that is the best rambling podcast out there. I don't know, maybe. If you want to catch us live, you can always catch us on twitch.tv/GUNZGAMES Gunz Games on Twitch. We do this live every Saturday around 1 p.m. Or you can catch us up on YouTube. My YouTube is 7-Bit Brian. You can also catch me on Twitter and Twitch at 7-Bit Brian. Gunz, what's your YouTube where they can catch it there on Mondays?
It's I think it's the same thing. YouTube.com/Gunz Games.
Okay. And then your Twitter is 3 Guns Down. He's just not able to get the Twitter because he's just not as good as me. I'm sorry.
You're fired.
All right. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.